CBS 47 Action News Jax at noon begins with breaking news.
JSO says it's arrested a man who sexually attacked as many as 8 women dating back to 2006. That man, a former nurse's assistant at 2 local hospitals and a volunteer coach for a local school. This is CBS 47 Action News Jax at noon. I'm Phil Amato.
And I'm Dawn Lopez. We first told you about Brandon Young in 2016 when the Florida Department of Health accused Young of fondling a 74-year-old patient. Action News Jax Bridget Matter joins us live downtown at JSO headquarters now. Bridget, you've been looking into the suspect's background and learned that he was hired from Baptist Health just last month.
And Don, what's most shocking is police say he did this all in plain sight, working as a nurse's assistant as well as a volunteer coach. Now, this is a stack of police reports that police did give us detailing 4 different sexual batteries, but he could be linked to at least 8 women. Between 2006 and 2009, Brandon Young was working as a nurse's assistant at Baptist Hospital and St. Vincent's Hospital, but police say during that time he potentially battered at least 8 women. According to his arrest report in 2006, a woman was pulled over in a parking lot on St. John's Bluff when police say Young got into her car and sexually battered her. Then in 2008, another woman who met the suspect while working at a drive-thru says he picked her up, forced himself on her in a parking lot, and sexually battered her. The most violent was in 2009, when police say he pulled a woman by her hair into his car and pointed a gun at her before she was sexually battered. His arrest comes after familial DNA technology was used when one of Young's brothers was arrested for a felony. A familial DNA match was made, which led police to Young.
So although the suspect's identity was unknown, the cases had been linked by the DNA profile.
Back in 2016, we first told you about Brandon Young when the Florida Department of Health accused Young of fondling a 74-year-old patient. He did not face charges for those accusations. Now, tonight at 5 and 6, we are looking into that 74-year-old's case. We found little to no documentation with the Department of Health, and I did ask Baptist Health if they knew about that case that happened at Vincent's. They say they were not aware. In downtown, Bridget Matter, CBS 47 Action News Jax.
Right now in St. Johns County, the sheriff's office there and the U.S. Marshals are looking for a man wanted in the murders of his stepmother and 10-year-old half-brother in Pennsylvania. They say Jack Elijah Turner here was recently spotted in St. Augustine. Action News Jack's Lorena Inclan is live there now. And Lorena, detectives believe Turner left that area but still want people to be on the lookout.
And Phil, that's because it's possible that he could come back here to St. Johns County. This is an area that he's very familiar with because he spent a part of his life here. Now take a look at this. This is 20-year-old Jack Turner. He's wanted out of Pennsylvania for a double murder. Police say he killed his stepmom, Shannon Whitman, and his 10-year-old half-brother. Police in Pennsylvania say he stole the woman's car and robbed a gas station just hours after the murders. He was spotted in St. Augustine just this week, but deputies now say that he's left the area.
We garnered the information from sources who know him in various aspects. To pinpoint who they are, what we learned from them, we're certainly not going to do. He's still an individual on the run.
And now this case has been passed on over to the U.S. Marshals because they don't believe that he's here anymore. But the sheriff's office tells me that it's very common that sometimes suspects double back and come back here. So they are monitoring social media because they say that Turner has been active on there. They're keeping an eye on that. But coming up next at 5, we're working to learn what kind of ties he has here to St. Augustine. Reporting live in St. Augustine, Lorena Inclan, CBS 47 Action News Jax.
Right now, a local business owner in Murray Hill is trying to figure out what to do next after a car plowed right into their store. Action News Jax showed you the mess this morning, bring you live reports after police say the driver hit the Kirby vacuum store and then tried running off. New on Action News Jax at noon, Beth Russo is talking with that owner about what's next for the shop.
The owner says right where I'm standing, there used to be a wall. In fact, you can see a part of it hanging right here. If you follow me back here, you can see that the driver hit his computer. A part of the keyboard is actually back here among the debris. He says this isn't the first time his business has been hit. Brent Loy is going through what's left of his office. The mess is from a car that slammed into his business, Kirby Vacuums, around 1 o'clock Wednesday morning.
This is just the worst. It went all the way through the building.
Loy sent me these pictures of the car inside his store. He says the driver was going at least 80 down Post Street, missed the curve, and kept going.
He took off running, but we had eyes on him in the neighborhood, and they sent the cops after him. He resisted. They tased him last night.
He tells me with the suspect in custody, now he's focused on the cleanup.
They pulverized everything, my database, my computer, my phone system.
The frustrating part is the service center has been hit before.
They've been hitting me for years, all the way up and down the wall. I mean, all the walls, everything's been hit.
Loy says there's at least one thing he's grateful for.
I'm happy nobody was there.
Loy says he doesn't want to have to clean up another mess like this. He says it's City Council's responsibility to make that intersection safer. I'll tell you the changes that he'd like to see coming up all new on Action News Jax at 5. Reporting in Murray Hill, Beth Russo, CBS47 Action News Jax.
Just a few minutes ago, a special joint meeting wrapped up between the Duval County School Board and the Jacksonville City Council.
The issue debating if, when, and how a half-cent sales tax increase would be imposed on locals to help fund the improvement of schools. Now, we reported yesterday when the City of Jacksonville General Counsel released a legal opinion that the power to impose that half-cent sales tax lies solely with the City Council, not the school board. Not only that, but the council also controls when a referendum would be placed on a ballot for voters. The school board needs $1.8 billion to make repairs. One concern City Council members have brought up is how it will affect the city's credit rating. We learned in the last 10 minutes, too, that Council says it will vote on this next Tuesday. Action News Jack's Courtney Cole is covering the story and tweeted this quote from Councilman Reggie Gaffney, who fears today's meeting will end with no progress. We'll bring you the latest on the debate coming up on Action News Jax at 5.
The family of a murdered local vet says they have justice now. Tuesday, 3 people who admitted to kidnapping and killing 86-year-old Melvin Clark were sentenced right before his family. Douglas Searcy, Jennifer Schulte, and Ray Jones each admitted to the role in the murder of that veteran Melvin Clark. Police say that he was lured, robbed at gunpoint before his throat was slashed. Schulte got a 40-year sentence, while Searcy and Jones have been sentenced to life in prison. Clark's family talked with us right after the verdict.
It was awful, especially the pictures, having to relive it. It was a nightmare.
Nobody needs to be disregarded that way, over $200. Like I said, he would give it to you. You didn't have to kill him over it.
Schulte received a lighter sentence than the other 2 because she didn't take part in the killing but admitted to the robbery.
Action News Jax investigates the technologies that have been put in place to help solve and curb crime and violence in our city. 82 people have been murdered just this year compared to 63 this time last year. It's a striking number, not only for our community, but city leaders. State Attorney Melissa Nelson says it'll take time to curb violence in Jacksonville.
Because we didn't get here overnight, we're not going to fix it overnight.
While there's no quick fix, the city has spent millions of dollars on crime-fighting technologies, including Jacksonville's Crime Gun Intelligence Center, which opened in May. Action News Jax is constantly fighting to bring you the information you need to protect yourself and your family. Make sure to tune in Sunday for a special Action News Jax Investigates. You'll see some of our most hard-hitting work, exposing dangers in our community and digging deeper into the issues that affect your life.
The Florida Supreme Court is rejecting a death row appeal from a Jacksonville man set to be executed next week for a 1994 murder. Gary Ray Bowles is set to die August 22nd. His lawyers argue that he's intellectually disabled and should not receive the death penalty. Bowles was sentenced to die for killing Walter Hinton in his mobile home in Jacksonville. He was also convicted for killing Albert Morris, who's from Nassau County, and sentenced to life.
Recession alarm bells are ringing on Wall Street this noon, and that's sending stocks sharply lower right now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and all the major indices are down 2% right now after a bond market indicator pointed to a renewed risk of a recession. Look at this right now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, that's at the low for the day right now, down 648 points. That bad news followed a rally on Wall Street Tuesday after President Trump delayed tariffs on some Chinese imports.
In Nassau County, the sheriff sent us these pictures of a small alligator that was pulled from a local pool. Now, this happened recently in Fernandina Beach. The sheriff says that Deputy T.C. Edwards helped FWC officers catch this little guy.
Both Jaguars fans and Eagles fans will be disappointed tomorrow. Nick Foles won't be playing in this week's home preseason game. For the second week in a row now, Coach Doug Marrone ruled out most of the starters for the game. However, he says they will suit up for the third game against Miami next week. And Action Sports Jax is getting you ready for the Jaguars' first home preseason game. Make sure to tune in to Fox 30 at 6:30 for Countdown to Kickoff. That's followed by game coverage as the Jags take on the Eagles.
From the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Corey Sima. Yikes! It feels like temperatures still very hot. Everyone above 100 degrees. That's what it feels like across Duval County, including the beaches. Those puffy white clouds starting to get tall here on the First Alert Skycam network, timing out heavy rain and storms through the afternoon in the First Alert forecast.
And coming up next, a cup of Joe with a purpose, who's working behind the counter at this local coffee shop and bringing hope to people in Jacksonville Beach.
And more expensive bus rides. How much more riders will pay for a single pass starting in September.
What to watch, brought to you by Ashley Home Store.
A new restaurant in Jax Beach is serving more than just a cup of coffee.
Their volunteer work aims to stop homelessness in Jacksonville. Action News Jax Elizabeth Pace spoke with the owner, who says 100% of the profits go back to these recovery programs.
We're right off of First Street. This is the heart of Jax Beach. And when we walk in, we found that they've only been open for a month, but already they have a shop full of customers.
We were hopeful, but I don't know if we could have thought that it would have worked this well.
Cup of Job's is not your average coffee shop in Jax Beach. It's completely run by volunteers, including homeless people in a recovering program. Everything you see here was donated, and 100% of the proceeds go back to local nonprofits.
And that brings its own challenges, work ethics and fighting against full-time schedules with our actual volunteers, burning them out.
This past May, Changing Homelessness reported nearly 1,500 homeless people in Duval County. They say numbers have gone down in Northeast Florida by about 32% over the past 10 years. And right now we're working to find how many live at the beach. We know nearly a dozen are in a recovery program with Beach Rescue. They partnered with the local nonprofit LifeWork to create this volunteer program. They say it gives them training that could lead to a job. And in their first month, Tammy McClafferty says they've already helped at least 3 women.
All of us need to have a purpose, to feel like we're doing something better.
And Tammy says their goal is to save enough money so they can open multiple shops all around Jacksonville. Reporting in Jax Beach, Elizabeth Pace, CBS47, Action News Jax.
A lot of airline passengers have experienced fog appearing inside the cabin, but one Jacksonville Delta flight was practically socked in. Take a look at this. This video was recorded by a passenger headed to New York City. That fog so thick, passengers started to get nervous. Passengers say that there was no odor, but the fog lasted for about a half an hour as that plane sat before takeoff.
The flight attendants didn't really make an announcement. They just said that they were practicing for their Halloween haunted house and kind of made a joke of it instead of saying like it was from the humidity or the condensation.
Well, Action News Jax aviation expert Wayne Ziskel believes it was condensation. He says it's not uncommon on hot, humid days for mist to just pour in from those AC vents.
For the first time in years, JTA is raising its fares. The board of directors approved that on Tuesday, and now a single trip pass will cost $1.75, up 25 cents. The new fares won't kick in until September 30th. The fares will also change for the ferry and Ready Ride. And you can read more about the changes online on our website, actionnewsjax.com.
The Orlando police officer who took a bullet to his tactical helmet during the Pulse nightclub attack could avoid being fired. Action News Jax told you about Mike Napolitano in the days after that 2016 attack. He hasn't been back to duty since the attack. Last week, the city gave him a final warning to return to work. Well, now the city says it's working with doctors to get him specially designated so his case goes before a pension board.
Sports Illustrated says that the University of Georgia has the greatest mascot in college football history. That's right, the Dogs. It put Uga, the Bulldog, in the #1 spot. 3 other SEC teams also made the top 10. Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU. So sorry, Gator fans, didn't make the list.
Now certified Jacksonville's most accurate weather forecast. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
All right, one more day, folks. We got to do this one more time. Heat advisory until 6 p.m. This basically includes everybody but coastal Nassau and Duval, all of St. Johns and Putnam County. Everybody else, you are included in this advisory for feels like temperatures between 105 and 110. So let's track it hour by hour. As we get into this afternoon, you see all of the numbers here between about 103 and up to about 108 there in Brunswick. Very hot all the way through this afternoon and even into this evening too, dipping down into the upper 90s for those feels like temperatures by 5 p.m. As for right now, it's looking nice here on the First Alert Skycam network. Jacksonville Beach, it is beautiful. Look how blue the water is too, like the sky. 90 degrees, east-southeast winds at 10. It feels like 100 plus all the way out to the beaches right now. There's really no rain on 5 Sweep First Alert Doppler HD, at least locally. As we zoom into Duval here, that's the sea breeze. You see that green line here that is just moving onshore? That's the sea breeze. That's going to act as a catalyst or a focal point for rain and storms as we get through the afternoon. All the rain we have now, it is just out of our viewing area. These are skirting the Putnam County coast, some of them reaching into Flagler, and a lot of it in Marion County as well. That is the west coast sea breeze that is spitting off some moisture, at least well to the south of us for right now. But watch what happens here on the hour-by-hour forecast. 2 p.m. You see a few of those showers and storms scattered around. They will start to get going. It's just a matter of time. Through the evening commute, you see as they kind of progress along and west of I-95. So if it's not raining on you when you head home later today, I do expect some of those roadways to be wet. And where the rain is falling, it is going to be heavy. There will be frequent lightning with these as well. You see how that blob of heavy rain just kind of hangs out along and south of I-10 and along and west of I-95. So Highway 301, you're going to be right in this again for this evening into tonight. Some of the activity lingering even after the sun sets while we get to 10 and 11 o'clock. At rain threat, it really picks up starting tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. Scattered and potentially numerous showers and storms expected. We're going to have to keep an eye on Thursday. That is the preseason home game for the Jaguars. That is tomorrow, and you can catch it on Fox 30. There will be some showers and storms around, though. Chief Meteorologist Mike Bursch will be tracking those tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then stays pretty wet all the way through Saturday. Mainly some afternoon storms on Sunday. Look at these temperatures, though, into the upper 80s starting on Friday and Saturday. I think we'll take it after what has been a stretch of brutally hot temperatures. And your weekend, which is always in view, stays hot with a little bit of rain. You can download the Action News Jax First Alert Weather app. Just head right there. Our website, actionnewsjax.com.
Coming up, new at noon, they call it bottle to throttle. The new rules United pilots will have to follow if they drink alcohol.
Plus, more expensive iPhones. The new date tariffs take effect, which could make your next smartphone cost 10% more.
United Airlines just changed its alcohol policy for its pilots, requiring them to stop drinking at least 12 hours before flights. Now, previously, that was 8 hours. The rule, referred to as bottle to throttle, gives more time for alcohol to leave the pilot's system. United won't say if this has anything to do with the flight being canceled earlier this month when 2 of its pilots were arrested after failing breath tests.
President Donald Trump's tariffs on some Chinese imports are being delayed, but when they do start, new iPhones could be 10% more expensive. Those tariffs were pushed back to mid-December to give U.S. companies more time to figure out how to offset the cost increases. One securities analyst says if tariffs are implemented into 2020, Apple would have no choice but to raise iPhone prices by up to $100 each. The majority of iPhones are assembled in China. We'll be right back, everyone.
All right, still very hot out there, folks. Feels like 104 in Jacksonville, McClinney. Balmy 110, where it's going to stay hot through the rest of the afternoon into the evening, though we will be tracking some scattered showers and storms. Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish on CBS 47 at 5 p.m. timing those out through the evening commute.
I tell you, people get crossed and way cross when it's 109
oh my goodness.
Feel like temperatures.
It doesn't look real.
Reason.
Thanks, Corey. Have a good day, everyone.
Stay hydrated. Wine Hours next.